Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo.
Welcome to the show. Today is Monday and this is going out live on Mintwave Radio. You can either ask Alexa or go to the website mintwave-radio.com, or if this is via podcast on any of the platforms, if you go to the same website, you can actually download the app for Apple and Android and you will see the schedule for the rest of the week. So feel free to follow any that take your fancy. It's not just my podcast on our network. And leave a comment if you'd like. Today's episode is 160, and today we have Forrest Huguenin, who is a money mentality coach. Now, we're going to be talking about creating abundance in your life, designing an abundant life. So I'm your host, Karen Roberts. We help coaches and therapists get their message heard to the people who need to hear it. Forrest, he has spent the majority of his corporate life working for various investment banks, including Toronto Dominion, BV Capital, and Standard Bank. His financial services chops and the place where he earned his securities licenses was with MetLife. He also spent a decade in real estate, most of that time as a Century 21 agent, dealing with the ins and outs of buying and selling real estate. He used all of that experience to launch a coaching business 12 years ago. And over the years, he's honed his skills in working with individuals, helping them reach their financial and personal goals. He was always attracted to the world of finance, which he says is a bit ironic since he struggled so much with mastering it himself. But maybe that's why he was always in orbit around money management. He needed to tame the beast that had hurt him so badly over the years. So welcome to the show, Forrest.
Thank you for having me, Karen.
So we can see there how you got into doing what you're doing. Could you delve into that a little bit more detail about your story into this?
A little more detail. Do you want to talk to my therapist? I actually, over the course of my life, had been struggling with a number of things unbeknownst to myself. And it really started in childhood. And what we don't understand is so much of who we are, 90% of who we are is formed by the age of 7. So I had been coming up in a home learning these invisible money scripts and not knowing that I was carrying them on into my teenage and early adult years. And that really shaped my need to show that I was somebody by means of what I was able to purchase and show the world. So it was really like a facade, representing myself to be this successful person by means of how much I could purchase. And that drove me down a rabbit hole into bankruptcy at the age of 25.
Wow. And what sort of scripts were you personally running then?
The biggest one, which I only came to terms with relatively recently, is that if you want to be rich, or you want to be wealthy, then somehow you are wrong. You're bad. Having that much money is some kind of moral defect. And that really caused me to self-sabotage over the course of my life. And I remember specific times where I would have large sums of money and I would just say to myself, something bad's going to happen and I'm going to lose this money. And you know how the economists say, if people believe something's going to happen, they will act in such a way as to cause it to happen. And that would happen to me. So I would go in these feast and famine cycles, not really understanding why it was happening. But that's why.
And I think many people out there have that same script running. And
Yeah.
especially, I think a lot of coaches themselves have
Hmm.
that, especially if they come from our show with a sprinkling of woo woo. What I have found is a lot of the more therapists and healers, they want to give, but they're not so good at receiving. And I
Yeah.
think that's why they are
Hmm.
running that script unknowingly. It's all
Hmm.
subconscious.
Exactly. Yep, you got it.
When we talk about abundance, we're looking for people want to have an abundant life. What are we talking about here? What's your definition of what abundance really means?
An abundant life to me is living life on your terms and not according to the rules of others. And there's a number of different buckets that an abundant life can fall into, but I'll just mention the main ones, and that's work, family, spirituality, and of course, money. And those four areas, there are other things that branch off from that. But in those four areas, you have to be living according to your inner values and your goals. And if those don't match up with your authentic self, you're going to experience what the experts call cognitive dissonance. And that just basically means you're not in harmony with who you are. And so your brain is short circuiting constantly trying to bring you into harmony with who you are. And until you do that, you're just going to short circuit your success.
So going back to the pressing the self-sabotage button, is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You will, for instance, if you believe that, which is a terrible misquote of the scripture, if you believe money is the root of all evil, then you will push money away from you. And that's why you'll find lottery winners will often, and I'm not sure how things run in Europe, but here in the States, it's a proven fact that the majority of people who win the lottery within 7 years are broke.
Yeah. It's global.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
we're all human. Everybody has the same. Yeah, it is. The stats show the
yeah.
same. It's crazy.
And that's because they don't have, and this is yet another thing that I've learned over the years, you must raise your internal temperature to match the money that you want to have in your life. If you have an internal temperature of $30,000 a year or 30,000 pounds a year or 30,000 euros a year, you can win $1 million. But your internal temperature, just like a thermostat in your home, is going to bring your financial ability back down to that $30,000 slash euro slash pound life. And that's why people
Absolutely.
go broke.
Yeah. So it's just another confirmation that mindset is the
Yes.
driving force. That's the first thing. You can have all the strategies in the world, but if you haven't got
Mhm.
your mindset right, then you're gonna sabotage your efforts. Things are gonna
Exactly.
happen.
Yeah.
And it's funny, isn't it? And we realize that we've actually just done that to ourselves. So when did you have that aha moment? Did you realize at the time that you went bankrupt, or was it sometime after?
No, it was sometime after. In fact, probably about 20 years after before I really had a full aha moment. One of the things I keep by me is you'll see in the background this book, How to Get Out of Debt, Stay Out of Debt, and Live Prosperously. I am grateful for that book because it's what, at the age of 25, started me on the course of learning the mechanics of how to successfully manage your money. But that's the trap that most people fall into. They focus on the mechanics and they think if I do this step and then I do this step and I do this step, then I'm going to be successful. But this inside here, this subconscious is constantly working at cross purposes to what you're trying to accomplish. And until you address that and get it right, you can have all of the tactics in the world, but without the right mental foundation, you are going to fail. And that's why I developed what I call my M3 method, which deals with your mentality, your map, and then the mechanics of handling your money. Because once you have the mentality down, the map comes easy. And once you have those two, you just plug the mechanics in and you can run your money to wealth all day, every day.
It's just that we've been conditioned, isn't it, to work
Mhm.
backwards,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
why so
Yeah,
many fail. So
yeah,
many fail.
yeah. And they keep buying the books. And then there's new books out every year. Budget this way, do this technique, this method, blah, blah, blah. But until you fix what's going on here, it's not going to work.
So what made you want to go into this area then of having this more of a holistic approach as opposed to what you had been doing?
The cycle of rags to riches, which I kept going through. And I know I'm capable of earning the money. I can do it. I can sell, I can earn the money. I know how to save, I know how to do all of this stuff. Something else is going on. And it's not until I started listening to authorities in the area of cognitive dissonance and psychology and those types of things that I really started beginning to dig in and understand what was really driving my money decisions and actions so that I could correct the false scripts, rewrite them like a computer program with the right scripts, and start getting proper money habits in place.
And so did this just happen to you, or did you deliberately go out and do this, or did you go by just through experience and then look back and go, aha?
It was a combination of all of those things, but it was when I reached the point of making a conscious decision that I have to begin to behave as the person that I want to be, then I can have these things. And that all goes back to people who have come before me, Think and Grow Rich, The Secret, and all of that stuff. Except too many people ran with The Secret and didn't realize that action has to come after you made that decision. So many people were like, Nam yum rahe, nam yum rahe. I can will money into my life, and it just doesn't work that way. Yes, you believing affirmations and all of that stuff is great, but until you follow that up with action, you are going to be broke, no matter how many positive affirmations you chant into your life.
Yeah. And as you said earlier, it's again, yeah, I truly believe that people totally misinterpreted The Secret because, like you said, you could say affirmations all day long, but if your subconscious doesn't agree with them, it's just cancelled them out at source. So a
Right.
complete waste of time until you get the unconscious in alignment with the conscious. And as you just said there, you were conscious. You made a conscious
Mm-hmm.
decision. And I
Yeah.
think that be the problem. And everyone is walking around the majority of the day unconsciously. They're just running a program in their mind and they think that they're thinking and they're not. They're just operating.
Yeah. Yeah. They're operating by default,
Yeah.
not really realizing what's actually going on.
So mindset is step one.
That's step one. So
That's
you have
step one.
mindset. And then the second M is your map. And that's what I call your massive action plan. Until you do things differently, you will continue to receive the same results that you've always gotten. So now you have to ask yourself, okay, self, now I want to, and I'm just going to throw out some things. I want to earn $250,000 a year. I want to live in a 5-bedroom, 4-bath home with a swimming pool in the backyard. And I want to drive a top of the line Mercedes Benz. This is just examples. Those are not necessarily my things. What you have to do is you have to project forward and see yourself at that moment in time where you actually have these things. How are you acting when you have these things? What have you done to get to this place. And you literally take out a pen and paper and you begin to write down, I now earn, I now live in, I now drive, I now vacation. And you write these things out in detail. And that act of writing actually it flows up your arm into your brain and imprints it in your brain. Then what you do, the next step, is you say, I was able to achieve these things by doing the following. And your brain will naturally know what you needed to do in order to get there. So now you're living in the moment, you're writing backwards in time, and you're talking to your younger self. And you're saying, this is what you did. This was the journey. This is what you had to do. We know what we need to do in order to get the things that we need to have. For instance, if you're overweight, you know what you need to do to get in shape. You know what you need to stop eating. You know what you need to start eating. You know what exercises you need to be doing. You know that sitting on the couch with a bag of potato chips is not going to get you there. It's the same with everything else you want in life. And once you lay out those things, now you begin to lay out your map. And in my process with people, I take them through that map, that massive action plan. And once you have your massive action plan written down, I'm giving you the condensed version. Now you start behaving as that person. You say to yourself, okay, self, I'm about to do this thing. How would the person I want to be do the things I'm about to do? And once you have that answer, you simply behave in that manner. But this is a conscious decision, especially in the beginning. It's hard. It's like going into the gym and never having been there in your life, getting on the bench and trying to press 100 pounds. You're just not going to do it. You're going to fail. You have to consciously work your way towards this by putting these things in place forcibly until they become habit. And over a period of time, they will become habit. But you never rest on your laurels. You have to continue to reinforce these good habits.
Like they said, it's the action part that needs to happen. And
Yeah.
as we know, creating new habits seems to be harder than people realize.
Right.
Because even if it was something small that they need to do consistently every day, it's again, it's all down to this old programming that's running. And sometimes the smaller things can be harder because it's only going to take 5 minutes. If it only took me 5 minutes to journal, to write that, that's actually a really simple task. It doesn't cost any money. Anybody could start today with the tips you've just, but will they do it?
You have to have a big enough why.
Yeah.
That has to be part of your DNA, because when the going gets tough, you're going to give up without your why. And that's another thing that I help my clients uncover. What is your big honking must-have why? What drives you? What is it? Is it a sense of accomplishment? Is it your children? Is it your other family? Is it helping others? Is it a charity? What drives you? Once you uncover that, again, that goes back to the mentality, the ego, those things, know what makes you tick, then you'll really have that internal fire that will continue to drive you when the going gets difficult.
And isn't it interesting, quite often that why has got nothing to do with money?
Exactly. Like my why is it now, money can facilitate it.
Yeah.
My why is self-determination. I don't want anybody telling me what I can and cannot do and when I can and cannot do it. And that's why I work for myself. That goes back to my inner ego, if I could say it, but it's also an accumulation of past experiences where I was at the mercy of someone else and they took advantage of my situation. They, so to speak, had me over a barrel, and they knew they had me over a barrel. And being the crappy person that they were, or people that they were, they took advantage of that. And so when I look back over my life and I say, every time you found yourself in sore straits was because you did not have the ability to self determine where you were going to go and how you were going to move. And that left a dent in my life. The dent is still there. It's still, trust me, when I talk to my therapist, it comes up. But I had to put systems in place to make sure that no one would ever be able to take advantage of me in that way ever again.
Strong driving force.
Yeah.
Strong driving force.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, okay, money, when it comes to creating this abundant life, now you talk about, I've seen in your notes about prioritizing certain banks to deposit in every day.
Yeah.
What are you talking about there? What do you mean by that?
There's about 12 different banks, but I'll just give you a few. The first bank is your physical health. You have to take care of your physical self. You only get one body. And if you are striving to achieve goals in life, if you don't have the energy, if you don't have the health to go after, or once you achieve those things to enjoy them, then what's the point? So every day you got to make deposits into your physical fitness bank. Are you being active? Are you moving for 30 minutes a day? Are you at least two, three times a week lifting weights, engaging in resistance to build and condition your body? These are things that you have to be doing. What's the other bank you have to make deposits into? Relationships. You have to deposit into your relationships, be they your professional relationships, your extended family, or your immediate family. And if you're married, your immediate family being your wife or your husband and your children, and your extended family then being mother, father, brothers, cousins, those types of things. But you have to deposit into those relationships every day. The other bank would be your spiritual bank. Now, I'm not here, I have my own strong spiritual beliefs. Whatever your beliefs are, you have to have a set of values based on those beliefs, and you have to live in harmony with those. Because if you're not living in harmony with them, then you're not being true to yourself, and you again self-sabotaging your success. And then, of course, there's your financial. You have to deposit into that financial bank. What are you saving out of what you are earning? And are you earning to your full potential? And realizing that you need to make adjustments in those areas, are you actively making those adjustments? Or are you just drifting on the ocean of someday until you land on Someday Isle with all the other people living on Someday Isle, and someday it's going to happen? Someday when the kids go off to college, someday when I win the lottery, someday when everything is just right in my life, and it never will be, then I'll have the life that I want to.
Very common for people to be putting off.
Yeah, exactly. So those are just a few of and this again comes down to being intentional about your life. And that's why I named my company Intentional Money Solutions, because you cannot have what you want in life until you get intentional about it. You cannot stumble into an abundant, rich life. It's something that you go after deliberately. And if you do stumble into it, meaning you inherit money or you win the lottery, you'll soon be broke again, because your intentionality is not at the level to deserve to keep that money. So you will just lose it and end up broke again.
So what can people start to do today to turn that around?
What they can do today is what I mentioned before, and that is you have to first understand who you are. You have to identify what drives you, what experiences in your past, unbeknownst to you, have shaped the person that you are today. What beliefs are functioning in your head that are not serving you to any good purpose? And then you need to write out what those things are. You need to write out what changes you need to make. Write down your goals, and then what you know inherently you need to do in order to get there. Now, those are things that you can do. But again, what I will tell people is, well, if you book a discovery session with me, I can help lead you down that path and I can help you get there. But those are things that anyone can do. Anyone can take those steps, and then anyone can start saving 10% of everything they earn. That's just one step. Pay yourself first. Just lop it off the top, take 10% and drop it into a savings account. Begin to build your cash reserves, because baby, storms are coming.
And that might be easier for people like us who are work for ourselves. There is no ceiling, but for some people,
yeah,
they may be stuck in a job and
Mhm.
there's a certain limit to the amount of money they can earn. And as we know, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, I would have thought the expenses are rising. So how do they get around that?
See, you made a statement that a lot of people believe, and you said it without even thinking about it, Karen. You said they work on a job and that's all the money they can make. No, it's not. I preach the philosophy of multiple streams of income. There is always something you can do to add an additional stream of income, even if it means you're gonna, after work, you're gonna deliver pizzas for the local pizzeria, or you're going to drive Uber, or you're going to leverage some skill you have within yourself that innately you've always been good at. When God created us, he gave each one of us talents, and those talents can always be monetized. Maybe you bake and people love your cookies and your muffins. Maybe you can cook certain dishes that just make people smack their lips and say, oh my God, you got to have Karen's apple Betty brownie, whatever thing that Karen bakes. Or maybe your friends come to you for advice because you seem to know the answers to their problems. There's always some skill you have inside yourself that you can monetize, and then you can take that and start a side hustle and start bringing in extra money. And I guarantee you, if you give enough attention to that side hustle, it will eventually match and then eclipse the money that you think you're stuck at on your day job.
So really, yeah, for those who don't have their own business yet, it's really, you can do both. You don't have to stay stuck in that job that you may not like doing either.
Yeah. But the problem is, Karen, people don't want to give up their free time. They'd rather watch the latest BC series or HBO series. They'd rather lay on the couch and relax and zone out on their phone and descend into the world of social media. It takes work. If you want to get ahead and you want to protect yourself against the storms that are coming, and they will inevitably come. I've had many storms over the course of my life. And if you're in one of three stages. Either you're going through a storm, you've just come out of a storm, you're about to go into a storm.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Very true. With regards to finances, so obviously they play a very important part of having an abundant life, but specific. So what specific role are you talking about there?
Here's things that I always say. Here are some. I run my life on what I call my SMART principles. SMART is an acronym that stands for self-knowledge, monetary awareness, allocated spending, ready cash, and targeted credit use. The self-knowledge means understanding who you are and why you do the things you do with money. And part of that is understanding what your money personality is. I've discovered four. The free spending surfer, there's the disciplined soldier, there's the kind-hearted first responder who's always giving their money out to everyone, and there's the adventurous entrepreneurial hunter-gatherer. Know who you are, and then you can begin to understand why you make the decisions you make. Then you move on to monetary awareness. You have to sit down and write out what your money situation is. How much do you own your assets versus how much you owe, your debt obligations? Then you have to figure out what's my cash flow? How much do I have coming in versus what I have going out? Now, I have a principle with that. Your fixed living expenses should never equal more than 50% of your take home. What's your fixed living expenses? Your debt obligations, your rent or your mortgage, your food costs, your utilities, your transportation costs. These are non-negotiables. They are always there every month. They repeat every 30 days, and you can't change them. So they should never exceed 50% of your net, your take-home pay. Then you move on to your allocated spending, the A, which is what I call your intentional spending plan. That should work in harmony with your goals and values. Where do you want to be? You should have line items depositing money into, I want to have a new car. Okay, do you actually put money away for that every month? I want to get my degree. Are you putting money away for that every month? You're having a budget or an intentional spending plan is crucial. There is not a successful company on the face of this earth, whether they make hundreds of thousands, millions, or billions of dollars a year, that does not run on a budget. Why do you think with your limited resources that you can just run willy-nilly and do whatever you want with your money and somehow trip into success? Yep. You have to have a guideline, a plan for your money every month. Then you have ready cash. That is your different savings buckets. That's the R. That means having an emergency fund. For those of us who are self-employed, who are entrepreneurs, you must have this thing I call a Hill and Valley account. That means you're depositing money into this because, yeah, you may have made lots of money this month, but what happens next month if you don't sell anything? Or you don't sell as much as you thought? So you're depositing money into those financial buckets. And finally, targeted credit use is the T. And that means using your credit wisely. That means, I'm not going to run out and buy the latest Marc Jacobs bag because it went on sale. Or for the guys, I'm not going to buy the latest Callaway clubs because there's a sale down at Dick's and I want to go and get these clubs because I work hard and I deserve it. No. Credit is to be used wisely, or you will find yourself in trouble like I did at the age of 25. And I will show you how to do each one of those steps as I work with you. But just what I said, having that knowledge, anyone can take what I just said and start to work out a personal financial plan to win at money.
Love it. I mean, and isn't it annoying, I think, that this stuff isn't taught in school?
Oh, God. Yes, Karen. Ding, ding.
Seriously, my daughter, she studied finance when she left. So over here, when they can finish, they can't actually anymore. They can stop normal school at 16 and they can either choose A level. So at that stage, she chose business and she chose finance as an add-on. And it was like, finance is an add-on. And it was the first place where they were teaching about the APR and this and that. And the whole understanding of credit versus debt is just not taught. Well, it's not taught over here. And you just think that should just be basic stuff that you're taught in school because that's getting you ready for life. It's, mind you, then you wouldn't have a job. So maybe it's a good thing. You'd have to do something else. But yeah, this is the problem, isn't it? That people's knowledge over, and like you said very early on about big companies, this is how they work. You are your own family unit. That's why would you know,
Yeah.
you gotta look after that. And look, I'm not saying that I had it right for I completely mucked up in over my life in the past because
Uh-huh.
I am a bit of a spender. And
Mm,
yes, I've come unstuck at times. Yeah, having the knowledge very early on, I
yeah.
think is just so important. But what I'm also hearing from you is that it doesn't actually matter at what age you are, you can still sort it out.
Yes, definitely. You can in each decade of life, your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, even 60s, you can fix what went wrong. Now, it's a shame if you're in your 60s and people were telling you this stuff and this knowledge was out there, and yes, it's going to be harder, but not impossible. It's never too late to change. And that's the beauty of being a free moral agent, the gift that God gave us. He didn't create us to be robots and force us to worship him and do things by instinct. We can decide, I don't want to worship you, God, and go off and do what we want to do. But you have to accept the responsibilities, the consequences that come from that. Just like you have to accept the consequences that come from eating cupcakes and donuts every day versus having a balanced nutritional meal. And you have to accept the consequences of blowing through your money every month and then getting to the point of retirement and not having had a plan. Now you're at the mercy of what we call here in the States social insecurity. And because that's not going to last very long. And I think you have a deeper social net in Europe for your type of thing. But
It's not good.
yeah, it's not good.
It's
It's not
not good,
good.
and the future doesn't look bright
No,
either. There
no.
won't be a pension, I wouldn't
Yeah,
have thought. I'm not
right,
basically, I'm not relying on one, let's put it
right.
that way.
Exactly, exactly. When governments have to raise taxes to pay for the sins of the past, what do you think is going to happen to your social dole? It's going to be slashed. And as taxes go up, you're going to have to pay more. Inflation is going to get higher. We're not headed towards rosier days. Now, I don't say that to be negative. I say that in the sense of a sailor who knows a captain of a cruise ship. The cruise ship is a place we're having fun, we're going to eat, we're going to have a good time, but understand there's a storm over there and I might need to adjust my course in order to go around that storm and avoid it. Or if I have to go through that storm, let me batten down my hatches and make sure that everybody can continue to have fun and eat and go to the midnight buffet and enjoy this cruise. And then once we come out of the other side, everybody will be okay.
So what I'm hearing from you is really you got to look ahead. You've got to look
Yeah.
ahead and you've got to plan.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be intentional. It all comes back to being intentional. Planning is intentionality. And if you are intentional, you can handle anything that life throws at you. I've seen guys with, there's this guy, and forgive me, I forgot his name. No arms, no legs. He's a motivational speaker, earning millions of dollars a year. There's another guy named Inky Johnson. He was destined to become a great NFL player, but one tackle paralyzed his right arm and hand. And it just lays there lifeless to this day. He is one of the top rated motivational speakers in this world. And if you go back and look at his story, this is the story of a man who just would not give up no matter what life threw at him. And we're complaining because cable went down.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, yeah, I know, you know, things I know people I think are more fearful than they were. I'm not, but purely because I don't have a TV, haven't had one for 2.5 years. I don't listen to the doom and gloom. I
Okay.
live in a bubble. I create my own. I'm not taking that on board. But I think, have you seen a change? You've been doing this, 12 years, did you say? Have you seen a real change? Okay, 12 years ago, it's not quite the 2009 crash.
Yeah.
That affected us. Then we with us when we came back to the UK. We've been through a few things that weren't necessarily down to us. It was down to the things that happen that you don't have any control over.
Mhm.
But again, it's just you've got to somehow find a way to navigate through it, and just not give up, really.
Exactly. And as any crisis can be dealt with proper planning. That's what you learn in the military. They drill that into you. They're constantly planning for crises. And one of the major things you can do to plan for a crisis is have an emergency fund. And that should be minimum 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. That's not your clubbing expenses. That's not your vacation and all of that stuff. I'm talking about your mortgage, rent, food, transportation, utilities, basic clothing. Those things you should have 3 to 6 months of minimum. Since COVID came, I've adjusted that up, and I think you should have 1 year's worth of 1 year.
Yeah.
1 year.
Wow.
We are living in times where anything can happen. Russia can decide to cut off natural gas to Western Europe like that. Another pandemic can come on. What came after COVID? Monkeypox?
I have no clue because I didn't listen to it.
Monkeypox came. And then there'll be something else after that. Then there'll be COVID 5.0.
Yeah. Nothing happened to me because I just didn't listen to it.
See, that can have its pluses and
I didn't exist here. I'm not accepting any of it.
But now here's the good thing about you, Karen. You've created your own economy. And what people don't understand is even though the economy out there can be crashing and burning, you can create your own economy so that you prosper in good times and bad times. Statistically, more millionaires are created in America during economic downturns than during good times.
And what do you put that down to? What's your personal opinion about that?
I put that down to this thing: scared money don't make no money. Because people who are not scared see opportunity in the crisis. And I'm sure you probably heard this before. The Chinese character for crisis actually represents, there's something in there that means opportunity, something like that. It's not the end of the world. It's an opportunity to get better.
Yeah.
So, for instance, and this is how the vast majority of the sheep work their money, work their money in the financial investment market. They buy as prices are going up, and then as prices start to drop, they get scared and they sell. What do the wealthy people do?
Yeah.
They buy when the market's going down, when it's on sale. Common sense would tell you, everybody says buy low, sell high, but they don't do that. They buy high, they freak out when stuff starts to get low, and then they sell. And that's when they lock in their losses. So people who get wealthy during crisis periods recognize opportunity and they invest accordingly. They jump into this sector because they see the opportunity. They buy this stock because they see it's at a bargain and it's destined to trend upward later. And that's where millionaires come from.
And there you go. You said this earlier about fear stops people.
Yeah.
And what I see is many, like your advice for somebody who may have a job, so they have a capped amount. The danger can be is because they're comfortable. So if they've got everything They're doing okay.
Right.
They're getting by. There's no
Mhm.
sense of urgency to
Yeah.
then go and get a second job to build these pots that you're talking
Yeah.
about, because to them it doesn't seem so important. I'm okay. I've got enough to get by. So they can it's easy to get complacent. Whereas
Right.
for some people, when their back's against the wall, that's when they're going to come out
Right.
and work for it. And so
Right.
there's this, isn't there, this funny, there's this balance that you've
Yeah.
got to have if you really want to
Mhm.
scale, even if you're comfortable, that something needs to change so that you
Right.
can put away a year.
Right.
Years, yeah, I certainly didn't have 3 months when the 2009 crash
Mhm.
happened. And there you go. That was my problem.
Mhm.
But it's funny, isn't it, that it's our own. We all know that prevention is better than cure, but
Yes.
many humans don't take action on that because they'll
Mhm.
wait till things have gone. So what would your advice be to encourage people to, even if they are comfortable, to take action so that they
Okay.
can weather any future storms, as it were?
This is hard because people have short memories.
Yeah.
They remember, they have a fondness for the good old days when the good old days really weren't that good. But what I advise you to do is what I put my clients through as an exercise. And that is, I want you to project forward 1 year from now into the future. Right? This is you today. This is you 1 year from now. And I want you to assume that you continue to be the same person you are today and you never make any changes. And over the course of that year, one of these things happens. You get critically ill and you have to go into the hospital and you incur huge medical expenses. A pandemic comes and shuts down the world again, or you lose your job. What is 1 year you from now going to look like, assuming you make no changes and that happens? Now, I want you to sit down and write out what your life looks like then because you chose to make no changes. And then look at that picture and tell me if that doesn't scare the bejesus out of you.
Powerful implication question,
Yeah, yeah.
because
What
people
what
don't think about that, do they?
what is the cost of inaction?
Mm.
See, people don't. Pain is what spurs change. I remember I heard Tony Robbins speaking on this one time, and he said, people do not change until the pain of inaction exceeds the pain of action. So here's the pain of action right here, and you're down. Here's inaction, and you're like, I can live with that. I can live with that. I can live. Oh, what? Wait a minute. Now it costs more to do nothing than to do something. Now I'm going to do something. We do that every day. And you know how we do that? When we're sitting in a chair on our butt. When you're sitting in your chair on your butt, when do you shift positions? When it starts getting too uncomfortable.
That's what I mean. Some people are
Yeah.
just too comfortable. Sometimes
Yeah.
you're right. You're so right.
Yeah.
That is the driving force. We
Mhm.
run away from pain
Yeah.
more than just running towards some future
Yeah.
good times. It's the
Yeah.
pain that is the driving force. So
Right.
if anybody's too uncomfortable right now and they realize that something does need to change and maybe the time is now, how do they find you? How do they get in touch?
You go to, thank you. You go to www.intentionalmoneysolutions.com. That's intentional, not international. Intentional Money Solutions, all one word.com. And there you can plug into some of my free downloads, get some resources. You can search my Intentional Money Solutions on YouTube. You can catch my videos there, and you can also message me, get in contact with me to book a free discovery session where I will help you dig into why you are where you are today versus where you want to be, and help you put in place an action plan that you need to take in order to get where you want to go. And that's free of charge. I offer that to anyone. And
Fantastic.
those are the steps you can take if you really want to get some tangible, meaningful change in your financial situation.
Brilliant. So with regards to mindset, and we started with the mindset, and we started by saying that it really is step one, but it actually is the most important. So for
Mhm.
you, what's your favorite self-care practice, or what is it that you do on a day-to-day, and why?
What I do on a day-to-day basis is I reread my goals, because that reminds me of where I want to go. Now, in order to reach your goals, what do you have to do? You have to first write them down.
Up and down.
And that's another big thing, that the vast majority of people do not have a written plan. And that's why you ask someone, we all have these friends. They're like, oh my God, I hate my job. I hate the situation. My car's a piece of junk. I won't be able to go on vacation this year. I got all these credit card bills. Okay, so what do you want? You hate your job. What do you want to do? I don't know. You've got to know. You've got to write it down. You have to have something to aim for, because if you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time. So
Love it.
do you want to hit nothing, or do you want to hit something?
It's something that everybody has heard multiple times in the
Yeah.
last however many decades,
Mhm.
but yet still so many don't actually do. And there's the massive gap, isn't there, between
Right.
knowing and doing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
How many times do you need to hear it to actually do it? It's
Well,
like you said right at the beginning, the doing part, the action
yeah.
part.
Yeah.
If you want
Yeah.
change, you have to do something. It's
Yeah.
not gonna
Yeah.
happen. Like you say, yeah, if you don't have all this down,
Mhm.
then one thing's for certain is you're not gonna get anywhere, are you? You're
Right.
just not
Right.
gonna get
Right.
anywhere.
But here's the sad truth, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, Karen. Most of the people who hear this are going to just, sounds nice, and they're just going to go on. And that's why we have a 1%.
Yeah.
And the other 99% are sitting there hating on the 1%. You don't have to be you don't have to be the 90 or the 80%. If you could just get over 80, you would find yourself in an economic strata that is vastly superior to the majority of mankind. But you just have to decide that that's something that you want.
There you go. You have to make a conscious decision
There you
to
go. Yeah.
change. It's the only way. It's the
Yeah.
only way. There's no magic pill.
You
There's
got
no
it.
magic elevator to the top
Yeah.
floor.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Well,
gotta take the stairs.
exactly. Exactly. But
Ah,
what I will do is offer for your audience, just to help out, for anyone who contacts me and has their free discovery session and decides they want to take further steps, then if they mention the code Karen to me, meaning they saw me on your show, if they say Karen, I will give them 20% off any package that they pick from me.
awesome. Thank you very much. There you go, listeners.
Yeah.
So one more time, where do they need to go to?
intentionalmoneysolutions.com,
Awesome.
and you'll be able to contact me and get all of the information that you may need to start making meaningful change in your life today.
Fantastic. Forrest, thank you so much for your time today.
Welcome.
It's been wonderful. And you look, I'm I'll be honest, I've known this stuff. Money has definitely been my decision would be I just make more, I just keep making more. I know I've got a lot of money blocks. I know I've got some stuff that I should do. I should put stuff away more, and I know it's a very bad habit that I have picked up over the years and not dealt. So yes, been a very interesting show. So thank you for your time today. And
You're
to the
welcome.
listeners,
Thanks for having me.
I will be back tomorrow with a coffee with Karen. So goodbye for now.
Okay. Goodbye.
Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical, and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo.